Welcome back to Mission Bound. My name is Tom, and this is
Mike, who?
Mike James, 2004 NBA champion, and we're so glad that you're with us today. Every week we get a chance to sit down and talk about things revolving around sports, around life, and a little bit of leadership, and we're so glad you're hanging with us today. Today is going to be a lot of fun because we have an amazing guest today who's going to talk about their story and tell us a little bit about who's on today.
I'm really excited because, Coach Mike Davis, he coached at Texas University, Texas Southern, Indiana University, also University of Alabama, Birmingham. He's at Detroit Mercy now. He's a great coach, great father, great leader.
Yeah.
And to be able to have him on today, I'm truly excited. Coach, welcome.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, and my first question to you is, from me personally knowing you, I've always looked at you as a culture setter wherever you go, and I want to know, how do you do that at a new school?
Well, if you walk into a good environment where the mindset is where it needs to be, it's easier. But when you walk into a situation where you have to try to change the mindset, you hope you have more that understand what it takes to be not only a good basketball player, but a good basketball team. So as a coach and as a leader, you have to try to instill your beliefs and what you think can help the program be successful, as well as change the culture of what they're thinking.
You've been at a few different schools, and everywhere you've gone, it seems like you've had to turn cultures from one direction into another direction. And when you walk into a school, like, what's some of the greatest challenges that you face when you go into a new opportunity typically?
Well, the mindset, like I said, it's the mindset. It's no different than you training to be in the NBA, or you training trying to get a scholarship, or you have people around you that understand what you're trying to do is easier. But when you go in and you have to fight certain mindset and certain beliefs, then it's a lot tougher. And better the players you have with the right mindset is much easier. But if you don't have really good players and they have a great mindset, you still have a great opportunity to be successful. It's kind of like if I have a son or a daughter and I'm pushing them, and their friends around them think differently, then I'm a crazy father. But if their friends around them understand what I'm trying to do, and they can give them really good advice about, hey, your dad or your mom, they understand what they're talking about, it makes my job easier. And so when you walk into a new program, if the AD is on the same page, the president is on the same page, if your secretary, everybody understands what you're trying to do and not fighting you, then you have a better chance to be successful. And I've been fortunate to have those situations. This past year or so with the players I've had, they didn't believe it, didn't understand it, and so it's hard to change their mindset. But you have to just get the players that understand and think the way that you think.
Coach, what do you consider the perfect player for you to coach? What does that look like to you?
I can say you. The perfect player for me to coach is one that doesn't mind asking questions, but they're asking questions to get better and not asking questions to prove that what they think and what they believe is right. I love a player that has a strong mindset from a work ethic standpoint, understand the work that it takes to be successful, give me their full cooperation of what I'm giving them. And if I do give them some wrong information, and we do sometimes coaches give, wrong information, willing to tell me, willing to say that, hey, coach, why we don't do it this way. They're just a player that do everything you tell them to do, to me, is my opinion, is not the perfect player for me. I want somebody that when I tell them something to do, if they know it's wrong, to challenge me to the standpoint of let me know, hey, it's coach, do it this way and be better. Makes sense?
Coach Davis, that's actually very interesting because I imagine there's hundreds and hundreds of other coaches who'd be like, no, I want my players that will do what I say when I say. And you're actually saying, hey, I want them to be able to challenge me so they actually own it better. Is that it? If they challenge you, it's theirs, right?
Well, I felt really strong about things before and been wrong. So I know what it feels like.
Mike knows that feeling too.
As a coach, and as a person, I always ask myself, am I wrong about what they're saying? So when you go back and you watch the film, you study, that's why it's important to have people around you that understand what you're trying to do and not afraid to challenge you or ask you questions. A real player will ask you why they're doing something. A real player, a real basketball player. And the reason they're asking you a lot of times because they want to know exactly why they're doing this, so now they can put their heart and soul into it.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And you know that you've had the privilege and doing something very unique. You've coached and you are coaching your son, Antoine. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And we've done a little research on you. We've done a little research on your son, and he's kind of a hot thing right now, right? I mean, he's doing really, really well out there in the collegiate world, and a lot of people are saying a lot of things about him when it comes to the NBA. What was it like, or what is it like, to coach your son and help him take the next step into his NBA journey? That's got to be an incredible thing, right?
Well, the incredible thing was to see the development, the growth, where he came from. You know, when we moved to Houston, he wasn't very good at basketball. We had just started training, and Mike knows this better than anyone. We would go to John Lucas, and Mike would be there, a couple more guys would be there, and they did a really good job of pushing him without allowing him to be a kid. If that makes sense. They talked to him like he was an older player. They expected things from him like he was an older player. I loved it because when he watched them walk in the gym, it was working, it was serious. He didn't take the same route as a lot of other kids that came in there. When they got it really, really hard for him, I made him continue to go back. You know, I sat there and I watched him every single day get whooped, have some good days, some bad days. But I loved it because the information he was getting, you know, and now this summer, believe it or not, is the first time I think he's truly understanding the information and what the work is all about. You know, our first summer here in Detroit, he was kind of doing his own little thing, you know, but he was living off all the work that we had done in the past. So last summer, he kind of repeated what he did the summer before. But this summer, now he realized the time, the effort, the focus, the concentration that it takes. Because what you have to understand with him is that when he thought he was pretty good, his friends would tell him things and listen to he would have conversations with his friends that if they was a real friend and understood the process of it, they would give him better feedback. But he was getting feedback based on them being his friends instead of the correct feedback. So from the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, he saw it the right way. Like he was around it the right way. Nobody treated him any different. Matter of fact, it was plenty of days in there, Mike can tell you this, where he would play with Mike them as a 7th and an 8th grader, and when they passed the ball to him, it wasn't like, oh, okay, it's okay to miss the shot. No, you make that shot. Like you have to make that shot. You have to make that play. You can't get the ball taken from you. And so he was getting great information, but when you get older and you get friends and they don't understand what you're trying to do, then it's very difficult. But this summer's been a great summer for him because he's back to the 7th and 8th grade mindset of where he started.
You know, Coach, I got to experience him, and for the most part, most people will call you crazy dad because, you know, the amount of work that you put on him, I got to see it and I respected it because what you was doing it out of love and you was doing it out of the potential that he has, and he's going to have to work at a higher level. Most people wouldn't understand it, but now coaching him, you know, is it difficult sometimes when you're coaching him to be the coach and be the fan? Because I'm pretty sure, I know if that was my son, some days I want to just jump out the chair and be like, that's my boy, you go get him, Junior. But as the coach, you got to be politically correct. And so how difficult it is to separate that?
Well, to me, it's easy to separate it because of the work we put in, if that makes sense. You know, I know there's a lot more in that tank than he's showing, a lot more in that tank. And he has to make a commitment to his body. He's always can shoot the basketball. He's always can handle the basketball. But, you know, to see him do it on this stage against really good teams, you know, it does feel good as a father, but it feels just the same as if I was coaching somebody else's kid that was really good, you know, because you love to see a player that put the work in rewarded by having some success. And you love to see a player that continue to push themselves and work and work and work. As a coach, you know, I don't really celebrate his stuff until the season is over because I know how quick a great game can turn into a terrible game. You know, and so I celebrate it more after, but that's just individual with me in my room and in my house, but never openly to the people.
So if you could write a story for your son, what would your story look like? Let's just say 5 years from now, maybe even 10 years from now. What would the story look like if you could write it and it would happen?
Well, Gibby, I'm glad you asked me that question because when he was a seventh grader, I told him, I want you to be ready to be a really good basketball player your freshman year in college. You know, and I tried to explain it to him. Well, part of the process you coming in here every single day is for you to embrace and understand challenges. For you, and Mike can tell you this, he shoot 3,000-4,000 shots a day and go play in a game and wouldn't shoot at all. Maybe shoot 2 or 3 shots in a game. You know, so I told him to take the pressure off of him, to get him to focus and lock in on what's important is for you to be the best basketball player you can be your freshman year of college. Now, fast forward to 5 years, like you said, you know, my dream from him is to be able to the next 2 years of college to develop his body, get his body right, be more vocal as a leader, and you know, hopefully he can be sitting in the green room in New York, getting drafted, maybe be on the all-rookie team. But if he can play 5 or 6 or 7 years in the NBA, that's a blessing. I mean, that's a blessing because you know the game changed every 5 years. I think every 6 years. And right now, for what he can do, is popular. I mean, it's really good. But he's got to make a commitment from a strength standpoint. He's got to get. He's mentally strong because he's faced a lot of challenges. I didn't really let him play. He didn't play high school basketball his senior year. You know, we stayed in the lab. We stayed and worked. And even when he had AAU games on the weekend, we'd be right back in there on Monday. He missed some of his high school games, high school practices. I just felt like that environment was way better. He get more out of that environment than he would, you know, going practicing with a high school team, going playing an AAU event this weekend. If you went to the AAU event, you still had to get your shots up. We had to find a gym somewhere in that city that you could get your shooting in and your work in because Monday morning you was right back in that gym, getting the same work in. So if I'm writing a story for him, I'm hoping that he can take that with him. If it's in the NBA or overseas, wherever, he can take that same work ethic with him, no matter where he is.
You know, Coach, when Twan is in that green room and he hear his name and he puts that hat on, I'm going to call you and I'm going to congratulate you. And I'm going to tell you, you know, good luck on your NBA career because Twan would not be the player that he is today if it wasn't for you investing the time and the attention and pulling out everything that's in him. And so it's amazing how, you know, coaching is just inside of you. And when you see something great in a person, how you're able to just pull it out of them. And I understand it's your son, but that's just how you live your life. Is that true?
Well, it's true, Mike, because once you see your kid do something and you try to imagine the best version of that. And I was blessed because I got a chance to moved to Houston his seventh grade year, where he got cut on the seventh grade team back in Birmingham. So we moved to Houston his seventh grade year, and I held him back for a year because he was so far behind. But the beauty of it, Mike, is that I got a chance to watch you guys work and realize. Sometimes I think when you turn on the TV and you watch really good players play, you think, well, that's meant to be, you know. And the one thing that you truly miss, and I've been a college coach for a long time, and I've worked guys really hard, and I understand really hard work. But when you see it with your eyes, like when you see a guy walk in that gym and he's making plays every single day, and you realize it's not luck. You know, it's the work you put in, it's the knowledge of the game that you have. And I think Antoine had something that no other kid, well, I take that back. A lot of other kids had an opportunity, but I took advantage of it because I understood a lot of people are guessing. But when you got a guy that played in the NBA for years and years and years, you got guys that coached in the NBA, they're not guessing. They're not guessing. And when you have your son the opportunity to be shoulder to shoulder with that person, for that person, and Mike did it, a lot of those guys, they had conversations with him. They would get on him. They would talk to him. They would encourage him. And they would tell him things that I couldn't tell him. But as a father, I understood that. And I realized that. And it was my job to make sure that he went in there every single day. We would go in the mornings and then go back again in the afternoons and then come back sometimes at night. And then I would bring him back over to Texas Southern to let him digest what he just learned and what he just heard. And so there's a lot of kids in Houston that had the same opportunity. But I wouldn't say they ran from it, they just didn't understand it. And I don't think some of their parents understood it. You know, there's no need for me being a debate about what John Lucas tell my son or what Mike James tell my son or what John Lucas Jr. is telling my son. I can't debate that. You know, what I can do is encourage him to understand what they're telling him, and even if he don't understand it, still take him back. Because the bottom line is he's seeing work at his best. And how many young guys get a chance to see? I never talked to NBA guys. I was in college, personally, one-on-one. So how many guys that's in the 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, like he can say, hey, that's my guy. You know, I know him, you know, and he's talked to me. And so he got a chance to see that. And that's a beautiful thing. And I understood that, and I made sure that I didn't get caught up in anything that I thought I knew. Because I can go in there and pass the ball to him. I can make sure that what he did in there, we can triple the 5 times over at Texas Southern, the work he did. But I couldn't give him the conversation that he needed to hear and see.
Coach, what I appreciate about you is you are obviously a great coach. You've had an amazing career at some awesome schools, but you're also a very committed dad. And you love your son enough to bring the best out of him. And here he is on the cusp of a potential NBA career right in front of him. He's one of the top prospects. And what's coming out of you is, I just want the best for my son. I just believe in him. And I think that the way that you believed in him has pushed him forward. And I can tell you this, I didn't have anyone in my life doing that kind of thing. How about you?
No, it was a self-motivation.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And to see like what he's doing with his son, that, you know, hats off, you know, dad of the year, dad of the decade. But at the same time, fathers can emulate what he's doing. Yeah. They can look at what he's doing and take some notes, because that's what it's about, investing in your children. Yep. You know, if you can't invest in your children, there's no point in going, and you can't invest in no one else's life if the people closest to you can't get nothing from you. And so, Coach, looking back at it all, what is your biggest anchor now?
Well, just trying to continue to have the energy to go and research things on a daily basis. You know, like I said, when I was in Houston, I stole everything from those guys. And now, you know, the same thing. I read, I watch videos, and I want to be able to share the real. And Mike can tell you this. How many parents have you talked to that they just talk to you just so you can talk to that kid and not really implementing what you say, like not really following, understanding what you say. They just want to say, okay, my son talked to Mike Dane, the NBA player, instead of saying, hey, what did he say? What did he do? And I want to be able to have so much information to give to the parents and to my players and to opposing team players through my experience of what I've learned through this game of basketball.
Absolutely. So last question for you. There are a lot of players out there and there are a lot of dads hopefully watching and listening today. And they're going, man, I want my son to get into the spot where your son is, where people are looking at him. They're writing articles in Sports Illustrated about him. Pro teams are looking at him. What would you say as a coach and as a dad, other team, what do you think they're looking for? What should these dads be doing with their kids out there to help them achieve greatness?
You know, if you had to take the best transportation from Houston to Detroit, how would you travel? What's the best transportation from Houston to Detroit?
Plane.
It's on a plane, okay? But there's a lot of different ways you can get from Houston to Detroit. And so what I did was I took the plane. And what I meant by that was I put him in contact with players, real people that understand basketball, to give him the feedback. Now, if you ride the bus from Houston to Detroit, there's so many things, there's so many stops that you'll lose focus because of the time that it's going to take you to get from Houston to Detroit. You'll lose time and focus that you forget what your goals are. You know, when they talk about the 10,000 hours to be an expert, well, that's true in a certain situation, but when you have people that already did something, I mean, I can remember Mike saying this. Mike probably have no idea what I'm gonna say, but I can remember Mike coming to the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's when his son was at 9:30. I mean, it was at 9:30. And before he got there, I was overhearing him saying that he had already been to the track. He had already gone to a strength and conditioning guy before he got there at 9:30. So that's that plane. That's taking the plane. So now I understand, instead of me taking the bus to where, okay, we just coming at 9:30, going home, wait till 9:30 the next morning to work again. You know, it's so long in between and there's so much distractions and challenges in between that you'll lose sight of that you want to play college basketball. So you can cut down those 10,000 hours if you get the right information from the right people. Everybody's not qualified. And I don't say this the wrong way, hopefully they don't take it the wrong way, but everybody's not qualified to talk to you about basketball, of how to be successful, or how to be an NBA basketball player. You know, I know about the work, I know about this, I never played in the NBA game. I've been in the NBA camp that I wasn't prepared for. But when you go to NBA camp 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you know what to expect when you get there. So what if you get it to my son as a 7th and an 8th grader and a 9th grader? So now, I hope this makes sense to you. Now we're not riding a bike to Detroit. We're not riding a bus to Detroit. We're not taking the train.
We chartering. We chartering.
Makes sense. we find first class. You know, so I would say to all the parents, take the plane. You know, seek information, because I can tell you this, and anybody is really good, and you can say the same thing. When you have people that legitimately ask you questions that you know that they are really want your feedback and your information, you'll give them everything you have.
That's so true. When somebody really is listening,
ask you stuff that don't mean it, you read it, you see it immediately. You cannot move on fast. Matter of fact, if somebody that you know that has that look in their eye that you had in your eye, you will find some kind of way to get back in contact with them to give them more information. Mm-hmm. Makes sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what I appreciate about this conversation is you're giving us all the insights, and that whole idea of getting there on the plane or the bus or the car as short as possible with the best people as possible. It's amazing.
Man, Coach is amazing. Man, I appreciate you, Coach, for taking out time in your day to share with us, man. This was amazing, and the amount of information that you gave us, man, was incredible, truly.
And
I appreciate it, Mike. I've always told you this. You know, I appreciate everything you've done for me because we spent a lot of years together in that gym. You know, and you've talked. You've seen Twan grow from absolutely to maybe okay, he got a chance. Yeah,
man, you know what? The most incredible story I have with Twan that I always think of is when he used to fall all the time when he first got there. He used to get the ball and he'll make a move and just fall. And Coach Lucas told him, "You fall again, I dare you." He threatened him. He said, "I dare you to fall again." He said, "I don't know what I'm going to do to you, but I dare you to hit that fall again." And then the next play, he went to fall and he tripped up and he gathered himself. And from that day forward, he never fell again. And it was funny to me that he was smart enough to pick that up. Most kids wouldn't understand what Coach was talking about or trying to get to him. And that's what helped me understand, man, this kid got something. You know, he just got to be taught. And that's all it is. What he think he's doing is right until you teach him. And then he's going to say, "Oh, okay, what I was doing was wrong. Let me start doing it this way." And that showed me even early in him, like, man, this kid got a chance. And then when he used to play with us, even though he wasn't doing much out there, he was still effective. And it was like, man, this kid is young, he's small, but he got a lot of heart, and he has a jump shot that is better than everyone's jump shot I've ever seen. You know, so if he makes it to the NBA, he's going to turn around and probably have the best jump shot ever. But, you know, he's going to have to get to the league in order to get that right now. But at the same time, he has the best jump shot that I've seen. And he's still young in the game and still have a heck of a lot of potential and a lot of moving forward for him.
Coach, we want to we honor your time. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're so excited for your career and Antwan's career.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Dan. Thanks.
That was Coach Mike Davis here talking about his coaching career and also his son, Antwan Davis, who is one of the top prospects in the NBA. How fun was that?
Man, that was amazing, man. Just to even talk about Antwan's career and his success, man, and to watch him play it go from rags to riches, this is the perfect story.
So you used to watch Antwan all the time in the gym, coming up from a 7th grade boy. Now he's in college and about to hit in the NBA ranks. Do you think he could beat you in horse right now?
Man, probably. I'm running. This kid don't miss, man. Like,
is he that good?
Oh, my goodness.
He's that good.
Are you kidding me? He doesn't miss. He broke Stephen Curry's records. He's breaking everyone's collegiate records. Wow. And, you know, it's not false. It's not fake. It's not a hype. Because I watched him when he was growing into the player that he is today. So he knows this is who I am. Based off of the amount of information the pros were giving him and the confidence, you know, he started playing against pros and started playing well against them early. So can you imagine?
When you say early, like freshman, sophomore in high school, he's playing against pros.
But he's not big. It's not like he's 6'5". He was a little shrimp. But at the same time, he was fast. And he could shoot the ball, man. He could shoot the thread, and that helped him. And now he's walking into it. So now his confidence level is at an all-time high. And I think when he's playing amongst those college players, he thinks like a professional player because he's been around professional minds for so long.
Wow. It's going to be really exciting to see where his career grows. And maybe we'll look back on this episode, interviewing his dad, and be like, I remember when.
Yeah,
right?
Then we got to get you on there, Twan. Don't play with me,
Come
Twan.
on. We're calling you out, Twan. Mission bound right here. Hey, thank you for joining us, hanging out with us today. Also want to just remind you, we're here during the week. Social media, Facebook, Instagram. Mike's got a TikTok page that is off the chain. And this is the gift that keeps on giving. We're going to do this for you. And people have been saying that don't stop this. Just keep this going. So we're making a commitment. This is, here it goes, right?
My name Mikey James, and I play no games. Everywhere I go, they all scream my name. Go Mikey, go Mikey, go Mikey, go Mikey.
Mission bound.
Peace.